Hello, everybody, and I would like to thank my wonderful subscribers.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Mr. Nightmare reaction. And today, we are going to be watching 3 terrifying true stories to start 2026 too. And I'm pretty sure this actually is going to be the first Mr. Nightmare video I'm going to watch in 2026. So yeah, pretty good. I really hope this isn't just a compilation of other stories. That would be very boring. So I really hope these are new. Let's start the video right now. Here we go.
If you can't catch your breath and treatments aren't working, you have mucus plugs, dense blockages suffocating your airways like corks in a bottle. Here's the only way to dissolve them. If you're struggling to breathe right now, if you've tried inhalers, expect...
Okay, here we are. Sorry.
I've gone back and forth about whether to share this, but I think I need to put it somewhere. This happened when I was a sophomore at school in the Northeast. I won't say which one, and I'm in Kappa. I'm an English major, and I've always taken my academics pretty seriously because I'm trying to get into law school after I graduate.
Nice!
That's relevant context for what I'm about to tell you.
I bet.
Last semester, I enrolled in this upper-level course on English Romanticism. The class was pretty small, maybe 25 students in total, and it was mostly juniors and seniors.
Okay.
There was a professor who led the seminars, of course, but most of the actual teaching was done by the TA during discussion sections. His name was Romer, and yes, that was his real name.
Romer.
I still don't know if it was a first or last name situation.
Wow.
But that's what everyone called him.
Romer.
He was maybe late 20s, kind of lanky, and gave off this I'm in a band but not a good one type of energy.
Ha.
He was kind of just an oddball. Anyway, the class itself was fine.
Was he funny?
A lot of close reading, a lot of discussion about nature and memory, and all that romantic nonsense.
I mean, kind of what you took the class for.
Most days. People would just sit there and wait for Romer to fill the silence.
Damn, that must be like so awkward. You have like the teachers who only wanted students to engage with the material and just say words back to you. But the issue is that like sometimes, you get a classroom full of people who just don't want to do that. Like, you need to have students who are willing to come back to you for that method to work. And sometimes you don't have that. Sometimes you're lucky and you have a classroom full of people who are really passionate about the material and like really like talking. Like the social butterflies are usually the type. But like, sometimes you roll a bad roll and like all the people, nothing. Nada.
It was pretty dead.
Kind of sad.
People would just sit there and wait for Romer to fill the silence, which he hated. You could tell it made him uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Which was problematic because then he'd start cold calling on people and chirping at them when they clearly didn't know what was going on. There was one guy, though, who always seemed to keep things alive.
Okay, that's nice.
He was tall with brown hair.
One person.
The only other thing I knew about him was that he was in one of the better frats on campus.
What do you mean better?
Way of making jokes at just the right moment. Not to be annoying, but to break the tension when things got awkward.
That's nice.
And he actually did the reading, which was rare. When he talked, it was clear he knew his stuff, so the humor felt earned. He wasn't trying to be the class clown, he just had a presence. I remember thinking he was smart, but kind of goofy.
Yeah?
Anyway, since I needed to participate for my GPA, I ended up being one of the only other people who talked regularly.
Wow.
So it was usually me, Luke, and maybe 2 or 3 others carrying the discussion while everyone else zoned out.
How?
Romer seemed to appreciate it. He'd nod along when I made a point, and sometimes he'd build on what I said in a way that felt validating. For my
Nice.
first essay, and I remember this vividly, I wrote about ambiguity in Wordsworth's Tintern Abbey. It wasn't
Okay.
groundbreaking, but I was proud of it. When I got it back, Romer had written these long, detailed comments in the margins. Not just corrections, actual agreement with my
Aww.
ideas. But after
That
that,
must be
I noticed
validating.
things started to shift a bit. Romer began paying more attention to me in class.
Yeah, because
He'd call on me.
well, yeah, that because you are like one of the people who's actually trying to engage with the material. You know, who would you rather teach harder? One of the random students who doesn't even add anything, or would you rather teach one of the people who actually does seem to care and engage with the material? You're getting his attention.
More often, ask follow-up questions to my answers, make eye contact with me for long periods of time, stuff like that. At first, I told myself I was imagining it.
No.
TAs take a liking to certain students all
Yeah.
the time. It's not that unusual. But then he started asking me things that felt less academic.
Oh no.
I brushed it off, though. I had other things going on. Around the same time, I started running into Luke more and more outside of class. Our sorority and his fraternity had a lot of overlap. I think Greek life...
Oh, okay. You're female, okay.
Our sorority and his fraternity had a lot of overlap. I think Greek life is mostly stupid, but we were
Wow.
both in, I guess, what you'd consider top houses at our school. So we had
Okay.
a lot of joint mixers, date nights, and just always went to the same parties. And
Nice.
Luke was just always there. So naturally, we just ended up talking more and more. And
Aw.
I started taking a liking to him. After a few weeks of this, he asked if I wanted to grab dinner sometime, and I
Ooh.
said sure. We went on maybe 3 dates before things progressed. He
Okay.
was sweet, attentive, you know, all the things you'd want.
I think what then
We
happened?
started sleeping together,
Oh.
and everything felt normal. I wasn't head over heels or anything, but I liked him. It was
Nice.
uncomplicated, low maintenance, and mostly painless.
Mostly
One afternoon
painless.
after class, I was walking to my car when I saw Luke standing behind the lecture hall, smoking a cigarette with Romer.
Oh,
They were talking like they knew each other, which struck me as weird. I
probably
didn't
not.
even know Luke smoked. When I asked him about it later, he laughed and said he was just trying to get on Romer's good side so he wouldn't have to try as hard toward the end of the semester. I
Okay.
told him that was kind of pathetic, and he
It's kind of weird too because like, what did they smoking joint outside? Now I'm kind of worried about how old Ute is. How old the Ute look? Because now I'm kind of worried that Ute might not be the same age as you.
laughed and said he'd take pathetic over a bad grade any day. A few weeks later, when I came back, I noticed his phone was lying next to him on the bed with a YouTube video playing.
Oh no, what is
I
it?
know I shouldn't have looked,
Yeah,
but curiosity
come
got the better
on.
of me. Can you blame me? I'm a college girl in a sorority. The types of guys I'm surrounded by would cause any rational person to develop trust issues.
But then you
So I
shouldn't
went through
be a
his
part
phone.
of.
I'm not sure what I was expecting to find, but I was definitely not expecting to find a collection of photos of me. And there were a lot of them. Some were more benign.
Yeah,
Photos of me going about my day, or studying, or walking
Oh,
to class.
that's so
But there were
creepy.
others. I'll let you fill in the blanks yourself. But they
Aw.
were, let's just say, suggestive.
Yeah.
Some of them were ones I'd sent him, but there were quite a few that I had no recollection of ever taking. I wasn't mad or anything,
Yeah.
mostly creeped out. Like, if he had asked me for most of them, I probably wouldn't have been opposed at all. I didn't wake him up that night. I just went back to sleep, not really knowing how to feel. I ended up keeping things to myself, partly because I was embarrassed,
Okay,
but
wait.
partly because I didn't want him to know I'd snooped through his phone.
I mean, not that bad. I mean, like, you guys are, like, together, you slept together, these are just pictures. It's not that bad, I guess. Oh,
A
God.
week later, after he'd fallen asleep again, I decided to try guessing his password.
Why?
Which actually wasn't too hard. It was just his birthday,
Oh.
but reversed. This time, I went deeper.
Oh,
Brace
no.
yourself, because things move really fast from this point forward.
Okay.
I checked his messages, his deleted photos, everything, and I found something horrifying.
What?
He'd been sending photos of me, those photos of me, to an unsaved number, regularly for weeks.
Okay, that's
Basically,
weird.
the entire duration of time we'd been seeing each other. It was sick, and it was probably illegal too. But I
Yeah?
couldn't think about that.
Depending on your
I was shaking.
age.
I took pictures of everything, and then I started to cry. I couldn't control myself. I basically slapped him awake and demanded
Oh.
to know who the number belonged to, and he stumbled through this ridiculous story about how it was just his backup phone, how he liked to have copies of everything in case his main phone got lost.
Okay.
I knew instantly that was bullshit. I stormed out before he could convince me to stay. I was a complete wreck. I was a psychological mess, and I felt gross. I really didn't want to get into the immediate aftermath of everything,
Okay.
so I won't. Just know that it was probably the worst week of my
Oh,
life.
God.
The last thing I need is for that trauma to reopen if anyone figures out who I am or anything. So that's another
Wow.
reason I'm keeping the details to a minimum. The unknown number ended up belonging to Romer, my TA.
Ah.
The police got involved, and Luke confessed pretty quickly once they started pressing him. He admitted that Romer had been paying him hundreds of dollars, apparently, in exchange for photos. The whole
Ah.
thing had been going on since the beginning of the semester, maybe longer.
What the heck?
I don't know all the details, and honestly, I don't want to. Luke got expelled from university,
Good.
and Romer got fired.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure there was jail time involved as well.
Wow.
Although I do remember thinking whatever punishment they got wasn't nearly enough to make me feel compensated.
I mean, you're never
That was
gonna
over a
feel
year and a half ago.
compensated.
I'm a senior now, and I'm almost done with school. I'm kind of relieved about that, to be honest. I've dealt with things in my own way, and I won't get into that, but I thought everything was behind me. A few weeks ago, though, I
What?
started noticing something.
What?
There's this silver sedan that's been parked outside my sorority late at night.
I mean,
Not every night, but enough that I've started paying attention.
that could be any
I
car.
haven't seen anyone get in or out of it. I don't know if it's one of them. I'm probably being paranoid,
Yeah.
but it's really freaking me out. And honestly, I'm not sure how they'd even know I live here now. I moved into the house well after the Luke situation.
Yeah.
Anyway, if anything else happens, I'll update.
I do think you're probably being paranoid, right? That could be anybody's car. I mean, yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to do with you. For all you know, this car is sleeping on a different woman in your sorority. Not good, not related to you. But yeah, oh, they messed up. So would the entire relationship not even real? He just did it for money? Ugh, that feels awful. Story 2 by Mighty D. These nuts.
This happened like 2 weeks ago. I'm still not fully over it, but I
I
need to get
bet
it out
not.
there because keeping it to myself is driving me insane. My name is Mike, but everyone calls me Mikey.
Yeah, I
I'm
heard.
22, and I'm still living with my parents in Northern California.
Makes
Before
sense.
you ask, no, it's not the California you're picturing.
What?
I always have to explain this to people. Not every part of the state is beaches and palm trees. Where I
Oh,
live, it snows pretty heavily.
Yeah.
We're talking middle of nowhere, surrounded by forest, closest neighbor is a 10-minute drive kind of situation.
Okay.
I've been skiing my whole life, so the cold doesn't bother me. If
The
anything,
cold
I
doesn't
prefer
bother
it,
me
but that's not really
anyway.
the point. The point is that 2 weekends ago, my parents flew out of the country for a wedding.
Yeah,
Some
and you
friend
were
of my
home
mom's
alone.
was getting married in Portugal, and I wasn't invited.
Ha.
But I didn't really care about that. A weekend alone in the house sounded kind of nice. Our house isn't anything special, just your standard 3-bedroom, 1-story, nothing fancy.
I have a 2-story. I really thought you beat.
My parents' room is at one end of the hall, mine is at the other, and there's a guest room in between that we mostly use for storage. The living room and kitchen are in the middle of the house, and the front door opens right into the living room. I'm describing this because it'll be important later. The first night alone was fine. I went to bed around 2 a.m. and passed out pretty quickly. The second night is when everything went wrong.
What?
I went to bed around the same time, maybe a little earlier. I remember being more tired than usual, so I knocked out fast. I don't know what time it was when I woke up, but it was the middle of the night. That That's pretty irregular for me. I knew something woke me up because I always have to keep my phone on airplane mode when I sleep.
Oh.
So it wasn't that. But I had no idea what it could have been.
Yeah.
I scanned the room, but it was pitch black.
Pitch black.
As my eyes started adjusting to the darkness, though, I saw something strange. My closet door was wide open.
No!
I always keep that door closed. Always. It's one of those sliding doors that doesn't stay shut on its own, so I make a point of closing it every night before bed.
No.
I know that sounds weird, but I've had to think about open closet doors since I was a little kid. The point is, I didn't...
Give me 1 minute. I'm gonna just do something. Oh, that works.
leave it open. I know I didn't. I started freaking out a little.
Yeah?
My brain was doing that thing where it's trying to convince you that you're still dreaming.
No.
And I knew I wasn't.
No.
I was fully awake. I could feel my heart starting to pound, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was really, really wrong. Without thinking,
What?
I reached over to my nightstand, grabbed my phone, and turned the flashlight
No!
on.
Oh!
I literally screamed when I saw them. There were two figures standing at the edge of my bed, just standing there.
Oh, God.
Before I could make
They weren't even in the closet.
out any features, they scattered in opposite directions,
Shit.
like they were trying to avoid the light beam. It
That's
was
not how
freaky
light
fast
works,
they
you
moved,
thought?
almost like they knew I had been about to turn the light on. I started flailing my phone around, trying to keep it on them.
Why?
But they were too quick.
It doesn't
I
matter.
heard something clatter to the floor,
Is that
but I
done?
didn't have time to process it.
No.
I just started screaming.
No.
I don't even know what I was screaming. I think I was just making noise out of pure panic. The two figures bolted from my bedroom door.
What the hell?
I heard their footsteps pounding down the hallway,
What were they
and I
doing?
started chasing them before I could have a second thought.
What?
By the time I got out of bed and made it to the hall, though,
What
I
happened?
heard the front door slam.
Good.
I ran to the living room, but they were
You're yucky. You got one of the two criminals who break into houses, but are complete pussies.
already gone. I stood there in the living room for I don't even know how long.
Yeah.
My hands were shaking, and I was just trying to focus on catching my breath. The moment I regained my composure,
Call
I
911.
ran back to my room, locked the door, and called 911.
Good.
While I was waiting for the police in the safety of my locked room, I finally turned the light back on. That's when I looked down at the floor by the
You
edge of
saw
my
a
bed
gun?
and saw what had clattered during the commotion. It was one of my mom's kitchen knives.
Oh!
I
Oh,
almost threw up.
no. That is so much efficient.
I'm not kidding. Those people had been standing over me with a knife
Yeah?
while I was sleeping. If I hadn't woken up when I did, I don't even want to think about what would have happened. I probably wouldn't have woken up.
Yeah.
The police showed up maybe 20 minutes later. They searched the entire property, but there was no sign of anyone, of course.
Oh, yeah, well, of
They took my
course.
statement, asked me a bunch of questions, and then one of the officers told me I must have forgotten to lock the front door. I told him I remembered locking it, but he just kind of shrugged and said that was the only explanation, being as there were no signs of forced entry.
What are the signs of forced entry? Like, how do they identify if something has been forced entry or not? If anybody knows, you can leave that down below. Like, what are the signs? Like, besides, a broken window, or like a hammer being used on a yacht. Like, can they identify yacht pitting? Can they identify, I don't know, some other method?
And every other door and window throughout the entire house was locked.
Yeah.
The only thing that even could have been unlocked was the front door. I accepted that and watched them leave, but I knew I locked the front door.
Yeah.
Fast forward through the nonsense of my parents getting home the next day and
Yeah.
scolding me all over again
Oh.
for forgetting to lock the front door.
No.
There's no
No.
need to get into that. It's
Nope.
been 2 weeks now, and I still don't have an explanation.
Well,
Forget whether the door had been locked or not.
yeah.
Why the hell were two people in my room with a knife?
Well, to tell you.
Just robbed the place. It's not like I would have noticed them come and go. At first, I thought whoever broke into my house that night might have known my parents were out of the country. But now I'm starting to doubt that theory, because I have trouble believing standard thieves would go out of their way to kill someone.
I mean, it's possible that they were thieves willing to tell, the wet bandits. I'm pretty sure the wet bandits were going to tell Kevin, afterwards, Right, the wet bandits were willing to kill a child, right? It's not like bandits have like issues not doing that. So yeah, they could kill you. Yeah, maybe they were just checking in, making you sure you were asleep. You know, hey, they didn't even bring their own weapon. Right. So they were. Wait, was anything missing? Was anything missing? Because if nothing was missing, it totally does seem like they aren't robbers, they're potential killers. They had a knife, they walked into your room, looked at you. They could totally just be killers if they didn't take anything. And by the fact that you never told me they took anything, I'm starting to think they were murderers. 3. Natasha. Oh, wait.
Right after I broke up with my ex, Natasha.
Natasha.
My name is Natasha. This started happening about 3 months ago.
Okay.
Right after I broke up with my ex.
Started happening.
I'm 23, and I just moved into my first solo apartment after living with roommates since college.
Okay.
It was nothing special. A 1-bedroom in a mid-sized complex in Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus,
I work
Ohio.
remote, so I'm home a lot. That's part of why I wanted my own place. I was tired of trying to take calls while my roommates were being loud in the kitchen or whatever. The apartment was on the 2nd floor, facing the back of the complex, which meant my view was basically the parking lot and then some trees.
Okay.
Not exactly scenic, but I didn't care.
Yeah.
I had my own space, my own
You
schedule,
didn't buy it
and
with
for
a
the first
view.
time in my adult life, actual privacy. For the first few weeks, everything was fine. I didn't really interact with anyone in the building besides the occasional head nod. There was an older woman on the 1st floor who always seemed to be checking her mail whenever I walked by, and a couple across the hall who I'd hear arguing sometimes through the walls. That was about the extent of my social landscape.
Hey, I get
Anyway, I started noticing this guy. The first time was maybe 3 weeks after I moved in. I was coming back from the gym around 8 p.m., and as I was walking up the stairs to my floor, I passed someone coming down. He was this nondescript white guy, maybe late 30s or early 40s. He had an average build. He was also wearing a gray hoodie.
Average?
There wasn't really anything remarkable about him. We did that awkward thing where you both try to move to the same side, then he just kind of squeezed past me without saying anything. I didn't think much of it. The second time was a few days later. I was in the parking lot getting something out of my car, and I saw him standing near the dumpsters. He wasn't really doing anything, just sort of standing there.
Oh, that's creepy.
When I looked over, he turned and walked away around the side of the building. Again, not that weird on its own. I shrugged it off and went about my business as usual. The third time is when things started feeling off. I was working at my desk, which faces the window overlooking the parking lot.
And you saw him?
It was the middle of the afternoon, and I happened to glance outside while I was on a call. There was a navy blue car parked in the lot that I didn't recognize, and someone was sitting in the driver's seat.
Okay.
I couldn't see their face clearly, but I could tell they were looking up at the building, at my floor.
Nope.
Maybe at my window specifically.
You don't know that,
I couldn't be sure. I watched for a few seconds, then went back to my call.
Oh.
When I looked again, maybe 10 minutes later, the car was gone.
Oh, okay.
For whatever reason, that stuck with me. I started paying more attention after that, and the more attention I paid, the more I noticed him. The guy spent a lot of time in the parking lot. Not every day, but often enough that it started to feel like a pattern.
I mean, yeah, but maybe it isn't that he's always in the parking lot. Maybe it's just that your routine in the parking lot matches his routine in the parking lot. You never know.
Sometimes he'd be walking through, sometimes sitting in that same blue car, which I realized was his a few days later. Once I saw him standing by the stairs to my building, just looking at his phone. He never looked directly at me, or if he did, I never caught him. But I started to get this feeling like he was always positioned in a way where he could see my apartment. I told myself I was being paranoid. The complex isn't that big. If someone lived there and kept similar hours to me, I'd probably see them a lot. That's just math. And I'd never actually caught him doing anything wrong either.
Well, yeah.
He wasn't following me, and he wasn't approaching me. He was just around. But then something happened that I couldn't explain away. I have a pretty set routine. I go to the same gym at the same time most days, and I usually stop at this Chipotle on the way back twice a week.
Chipotle.
It's like a 15-minute drive from my apartment in a completely different part of town. One night, I'm sitting in the Chipotle, eating by myself and scrolling through my phone. I look up, and there he is. That same guy with that same gray hoodie from the first time I saw him. He was just sitting at a table across the restaurant, eating a burrito bowl. I started to feel sick in my stomach. I'm not exaggerating. I felt physically sick for a second, because there was no reason he should be there. The gym I go to is in a different direction. This Chipotle isn't even near anything else. It's not like it's on a main road where you just happen to end up. You go there on purpose. I tried to rationalize it.
I mean, well, yeah, but I think about it. This isn't your first time at this Chipotle, right? You've probably gone here at least 5 other times since you moved into your apartment. So, my question to you is, what if this guy just really wanted Chipotle this one time? You have no reason to believe he was following you if you haven't seen him here any other time. I would still be worried, though. I'm out.
I mean, Chipotle is pretty popular, and he was eating, but he was also looking at me.
Oh, no.
Not obviously. He looked down at his food, then glanced up, then looked down again. But I could feel it. And when I got up to leave, I swear he started gathering his stuff too.
Nope.
Meet Speedy.
Okay, that's creepy. No. Did it look like he was done? Did it even look like he was finished eating?
I walked to my car fast. I didn't run, but I was moving. I got in, locked the doors, and just sat there for a second. When I looked back at the restaurant, I couldn't see him through the windows. I don't know if he came outside or not, but I didn't want to stick around. The drive home, I kept checking the mirrors. I didn't see anyone following me, but I took a weird route just to be safe. It was probably overkill, especially because he already knew where my apartment was, but I wasn't thinking straight. When I got back to my apartment, I sat in the dark for like an hour, just watching the parking lot through my window. I never saw either him or that sedan. So eventually, I convinced myself I'd overreacted and went to bed.
Yeah?
The next morning, though, I woke up and looked outside like I'd been doing every morning since this started.
You saw him?
The sedan was there, and I could see someone sitting in it, so I didn't think twice and just called the police.
What?
I felt stupid doing it.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Something along the lines of, there's a guy who I keep seeing and it's making me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
As silly as it sounded, I called anyway, and I tried to explain the situation.
Yeah. Kinda not enough of anything. You kind of have no proof that this guy's being asleep at all. Don't get me wrong, he's making you uncomfortable. And in the past, they have said that, making somebody uncomfortable should be some kind of offense. But I've always said that when they were, in your backyard, or, at your main door or something. Not just they're in the same general area as me. Yeah, not really much of a climb. I mean, unless you can prove that he's taking pictures of you or something, I don't really think you could do anything.
The officer I talked to was polite, but clearly thought I was being paranoid. He said they could send someone to check the parking lot, but unless the person was doing something illegal, there wasn't much they could do.
Yeah.
He suggested I document things.
Okay.
Write down dates and times, take pictures if I could, and call back if anything escalated.
Now you're the
By the time a patrol car actually showed up, maybe 45 minutes later, the sedan was gone.
Yeah, shot.
The officer walked around the complex, knocked on a few doors, and basically told me what I expected.
Yeah.
No sign of anyone suspicious, no complaints from other residents. He gave me a card and told me to call if anything else happened.
Okay, that's polite.
Nothing happened for about a week after that. I started to relax a little. I figured maybe the police visits had spooked that creep.
Yeah.
Or maybe I really had been imagining things and my brain just needed to reset. But then I got the note. It was slipped under my door sometime during the night, and I found it in the morning when I woke up. It was a handwritten note that read, "You should really close your blinds at night." I was terrified. I remember dropping the note out of fear before scrambling to pick it back up. My hands were shaking, and I felt...
Well, Agent, this evidence. Call them back here. Call them back here. You need to call the police back here. This is proof, and maybe they can lift fingerprints off of it.
a really nasty feeling of danger and helplessness. I ended up moving out 2 weeks later.
Oh my, did you call the
I didn't
police?
even wait for my lease to end. I just paid the penalty and left.
Did
I
you
thought that
call
was
the
the end of
police?
it. I moved back in with my parents, planning to stay there until I found another apartment. But if that was really the end of it, I probably wouldn't be writing this.
So what happened after
About a month
that?
after moving back home, I was driving back from the gym. A different gym, obviously,
Yeah.
one near my parents' place. And that's when I saw it.
What?
A navy blue sedan parked on a random side street, maybe 2 blocks from my parents' neighborhood.
Oh,
I
wow.
immediately recognized the car, and I knew it was the same car. I knew it for a fact. I sped
Really?
the rest of the way home, trying not to freak out. I didn't see anyone following me, but that almost made it worse.
Yeah.
Because if it was him, and I'm almost positive it was, then he probably already knew where I was going. I told my
Oh.
parents as soon as I got inside. My dad said he'd keep an eye out, and my mom started double-checking all the locks.
Good.
They've been watching the street more carefully since then. My dad even mentioned getting a camera for the front porch.
Good.
It's been
Great.
about 2 weeks, and I haven't seen that car since.
Okay.
Part of me wants to believe it was a coincidence.
Yeah.
That it was just a similar car, and I'm losing my mind. But
Yeah.
I know what I saw. I don't even know how he found me, but I really don't want to think about the possibility that I have a dedicated stalker who's been tracking everything I do.
I mean, he followed you. Yeah, I mean, the moment you left the apartment after your leash ended, the guy just started tailing you. Then, you went to your new house, and he got you. Also, you really should have told the police after this note. This is good proof. Honestly, I might have gotten the plate number of the sedan earlier and tried to compare it with the current one. But yeah. That is all I have to say about this video. And I hope to see you guys next time. Bye.